All right, everyone, it is 12:02. We're going to go ahead and get started here. So I'm hitting record. If anyone couldn't make today's call, no worries. We're going to have this posted for you guys to share it with the team. And if you guys are just logged in over the phone, no worries. You'll have the visual here shortly. So we got you all together to go through the demo as Express sits today and talk about the roadmap. We know we got a big topic right now that we're all looking at, Cloud Virga, Express, what are the differences, where are we at on both? So hopefully this will be a good conversation for you guys to have, and hopefully we'll have some Q&A at the very end, answer any questions that you guys have had from the demo or just from the project as we began from early on. So real quick, who's on the call with us? So you got myself, Leo. I think I've met a lot of you guys. I found a good screenshot online. My actual full name is Leonard, so I'm going to go with Leonard Hofstetter from Big Bang Theory. And you guys know Ron. Ron's with us today. Everyone knows him as Kramer, so good mugshot for him as well. Wanted to tell you guys what Express is not, just so you guys know, because there is a little bit of a comparison going on between the two systems, Cloud Virga and Express. And one thing that Cloud Virga does that Express doesn't is it's a point of sale system on the Cloud Virga side, meaning, with Express, it's just the consumer portal. It's just for that borrower to go in and really do their part of the loan process. So we're not doing anything as far as the LOS is concerned. We're not augmenting anything. We know Cloud Virga does a lot of those things, and it's more of a cloud-based LOS kind of augmented system that also has a consumer portal. But Express is mainly just the consumer portal. That was the focus, and that's what really lifted it off the ground. And it's really not two systems either. Granted, it is a consumer experience out there on the web for the borrowers to experience through your Apply Now links. It's not a separate system for you guys to operate out of. So when you think about the processing side of the loan application, or even as a loan officer, you want to go in and check some things out, you're always going to be in Encompass for that. So just keep that in mind. Everything that we're talking about today with Express, that's all out there for the consumer to play in. For you guys, it's all done in Encompass through the Express form. And it's also, it's not a vendor-driven product. Now, granted, we do have a vendor behind the scenes with Express. It's actually a licensed product for Fairway, so it's being built for Fairway and driven by Fairway. Unlike the Cloud Virga system, which is actually a vendor product, and behind the scenes on that vendor product, Cloud Virga actually has some influence from our competitor, which I know some of you guys already know that, but it's something to keep in mind when we think about the long-term, project, what we're doing here with Express over 5 years, for example. What does that mean, and what kind of opportunities do we have for Fairway when we think about the influence and what drives that product entirely? And what it is a replacement to the Ellie Mae Web Center. So when we first started this, the big thing was, hey, the Ellie Mae Web Center is no fun. It's old. We can do better. We deserve better. Our consumers deserve better. So with that in mind, that being the focus, we decided, hey, let's go ahead and find a system that we can create, have the entire control of our destiny on it, and really replace that consumer experience. So that's what the focus of Express has been from the very beginning. It's that next-gen loan application. So if you think about a decision tree style loan application where it's asking questions that are only relevant to the borrower scenario, that's the kind of loan app that we're getting. So it's a lot of logic built in. And they also get the dashboards. They can manage their loan status and documents and loan conditions and all that fun stuff. So everything, like I said, is managed in Encompass. So you're not doing anything in any other system. There's no dual logins for the loan officers or ops teams. We experienced this with Blend actually when we piloted that out. We had some teams out there using it, and while it was great on the consumer side, it was a really nice loan application that really became the genesis to the Express platform. It did cause some frustration with some of the teams out there actually managing in two separate systems. So just imagine being in Encompass saying, hey, I need that document, and then having to go into another system saying to the borrower, hey, I need that document. That kind of stuff we're hoping to try to get away from as we go further and further along with this idea that the loan process should be simpler. It should be a better experience for everybody, not just the consumer. So it does support all states, all vendors as it stands today. We've got about 6 credit vendors out there, so all those are integrated, and we have all licensing, all the compliance stuff done for everybody. So it is scalable. It's fit for the entire organization. It's at a fixed cost. It's not a per unit cost. Every time we close a loan, we don't have to pay a vendor or anything like that. We paid an upfront fee, and we've got this sandbox that we basically play into and just kind of, create this experience as you guys give us feedback along the way. So the journey is going to be fun. I think you guys have a lot of opportunity to really create something that is more like a Fairway type of experience rather than, a vendor experience that is driven by a lot of fairways, a lot of companies out there that are telling that vendor, hey, this is how I think it should work for us. So just kind of keep that in mind, because when we think about a lot of the things that you guys want to do at the branch level, things that are unique to your, certain branch styles and formats. I mean, that's one of the things we celebrate here at Fairway is everybody has their own kind of deal at the branch level. We want to embrace that. And so we think about some of the different workflows that you guys might have for the loan experience out there for your consumer. It might be different than some of the other branches out there. So we want to continue to celebrate that. And we think with FairwayExpress, it's going to help you guys accomplish a lot of those things that you want to do kind of at the ground level. So enough with all the bullet points. Let's see what this actually looks like. So Ron, are you there? I'm going to go ahead and flip it over to you, sir. Ron, I think you're on mute. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you are. And I've got the screen open for you now. There you go. All right. There we are. I can hear you. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions during the entire show here, just go ahead and throw it into the chat. Just click the chat button on the Zoom menu and you can throw them in. We'll try to answer them along the way, and then we'll have some time at the very end. So everybody has, we'll have a loan landing page, loan dashboard landing page. And this is where you basically have your page set up on your Apply Now link. So on your website, your borrower clicks Apply Now, they end up here. And what they're doing here is they're actually entering their email address to get started, or if they've already done their application, they're going to enter their email address here again, and it's going to ask them for the password that they set when they created that loan application. So it's one page that you guys link on your website and allows borrowers to start or come back into the dashboard. And it's got all your stuff there at the bottom. So your profile information will also be there along with all the compliance stuff. So Ron's putting in a new borrower here. So it's just going to say, hey, that's your email address. Want to make sure we know who you are. We hit continue. And you guys saw the opening screenshot on the demo here, or on the presentation. This is mobile agnostic or device agnostic. So depending on whatever device you're on, it's going to scale to fit that. So it could be a tablet, it could be a small mobile device. It's always going to scale to fit those screens. So right here, we're just entering basic borrower information. If you look at the very top, we see the Get Started tab and then Property Income along the top. Once we do this Get Started section, which the Get Started section is just basic information about the borrower. We can see we're entering their birth date, the purpose of the transaction, whether they're looking to buy or refinance, and then of course the stuff about VA in case the borrower is getting into that. A lot of the things we're filling out here is also driving the conditions. So you'll see at the very end, we've actually got conditions that are going to get teed up based on what the borrower had entered here. So no dependents. And we go in here, we start entering things about the property address. So the real estate owned section is actually going to pull from this later on. So this allows that borrower to really easily go through the application and have some of these things filled back in later on instead of having to rekey information. So we've got about 150 users on this today. And so far we've been getting a pretty good amount of feedback, both, on the positive side and of course, opportunities where we can improve. So what you're seeing is kind of what we got so far. So right here on the create account section, this is where borrower sets their password. They just confirm their email address and everything else is good. Check off the box, hit create account. And at this point, a couple things happen. The borrower actually got an email address saying, hey, verify who you are. And that's just an email that allows them to click the link and verify who they are for the purposes of e-consent. And then the other thing that actually happens is a loan officer is going to get an email address or an email to their email address saying, hey, the borrower's actually started off a loan application. And that's important because you guys want to know when a borrower is in your site and actually starting the loan app. And once that borrower actually starts the loan app, you get that email. You also have the loan in Encompass as well. So you can actually go into Encompass, open this loan up and see that the borrower's in it and also see what kind of information they've entered so far. So we're not there to the co-piloting thing just yet, but at least at the very beginning, you guys still have a bird's eye view of what's happening with a loan file between the borrower's experience and what you guys are seeing in Encompass. So right here, it's actually asking, okay, borrower, you're buying a house, but do you have a contract? Has it been accepted, or are you searching for a home? This was something that you guys really wanted to have in the app, and we saw it in another system too. We felt it was super advantageous. So if we say the borrower is under contract, we're going to ask for the subject property address, the full address. But as Ron just clicked, we're not under contract, so we're just looking for a home. So it's just going to ask for the value. And we're also going to get the zip code, city, and state, and that's just so that you can run DU. That information will obviously come over into the loan. And this stuff is saving all along the way. So if the borrower ever decided to bail out right now, maybe they had something to go take care of, they can log back in using that same landing page that we started on, and they'll go right back in where they left off. So in this section, we're in the income section. And in each of these sections, we have opportunities to skip them too. So we don't always have to fill all the stuff out. But in the income section, if the borrower wants to, they can check this box. And what we're saying here is, hey, if you want, we can help you out and actually verify your income up front. And what we're doing is we're actually using the work number verification, and that allows the borrower to pull in a work number report during this loan application experience so that we can populate all of their employment history. And that employment history that comes over, it's going to be in that work number report, which you guys will have in Encompass. And that report will be original. So whatever the borrower ran, that will come in directly into that report. But what the borrower also has the opportunity to do is they can come in here and actually manage their work history. So if they ever wanted to, they can come in here and remove some things, add some things. We built that in as part of the feedback that we heard from you guys, because we know that borrowers sometimes they see something in here and maybe it's a work history from about 4 or 5 years back and they don't think it's relevant. You know, they know that they only needed to put in the last 2 or 3 years. So they'll want to come in here and delete that stuff. So we gave them that added flexibility. And that's one of the things, just as an example, that we really enjoy about this system is the ability to stay flexible, stay nimble. We talk about that a lot at Fairway. You know, when things happen on the street level, you guys want a quick response. You want a quick solution. So with that, you know, work number history needed to have that ability to edit. So we were able to build that in because you control the destiny of the product. So right here, we're doing a manual entry as well. If you wanted to, borrowers can manually enter any of these things. But what we try to do is give them some self-serve options when they come through here, so that, you know, if you got one of those millennial borrowers, somebody who really wants to, you know, just push a couple buttons and have these things filled out ahead of time, then they do have those options in there. And this is the long form loan application. So we're asking a lot more questions here. There's a lot more logic in place. There is a short form that's far less the strong lead form, basically. And you guys will have both. This right here is actually a new income section that we put out. So Ron's showing this today. For those on the call that are actually piloting this, you saw this in the recent release announcement that we sent out last week. Borrowers are now able to go in and really drill into what their income situation is. So if they've got commission, overtime, bonus, whatever it is, whatever frequency they get paid, they just punch in the numbers. They select the different options in the drop down. And then we do all the math for them at the bottom. So we've really simplified a somewhat complex, part of the process. And of course, all that stuff comes over into Encompass where you'd expect it to go in. And so you see all the edit stuff on the right, trash can if you want to trash any of those things. So now we go into assets, same thing. We could skip it. We can enter it manually, or we can actually do an import using the account check verification. So this allows the borrower to basically link up any one of their financial institutions out there. There's several thousand that are supported through Form Freeze account check service. And so this allows them to basically easily pull in a 60-day statement as part of their loan application experience. And of course, this will do all the same things that you would imagine. You get the report over, as well as the populated entries into the account, the account name, the balance, all that good stuff. And it's going to go exactly where you expect it to in Encompass. So if we want to do a manual one, like Ron's showing, we can do a manual entry, one by one if they wish to. They can just type it in, institution name, account number is optional. They can do the amounts, and then we can see those in there. Of course, at any time, they can go back, change things. They can go back to different sections, add additional ones, full flexibility. And that was important to you guys. So once we're done, then we move on to the credit section. So the credit section is optional as well, but what we're doing here is instead of just showing the borrower the scores, we know a lot of sites do that. We got your feedback, and it sounds like what you guys are really wanting them to do, and this could change, but they want to see the liabilities. Borrowers want to see what are the credit accounts that you're going to look at, so that we can have that conversation about which ones I'm paying off, which ones are duplicates, which ones we need to talk about. All that is completely optional. Borrowers can order the credit report. They can skip it. Once they order it, again, it's going to show all those liabilities. They can't edit anything, but at least they have visibility. That comes over to your side where you can go in and then actually see that credit report, have that same conversation with the borrower. You'll have the reference number, all that's populated into the loan file. And then we get onto the real estate section. So when we first started the app, we said, yep, we own our own property. And so it figured that out for us. So we're able to select that one and say, yeah, that's the one I own. And we tell you a little bit more about it. And we go through and we just fill in all the prompts. This is where that decision tree logic really starts to help us out. We don't want to spend a lot of time answering the same questions over and over. So this is a much, much better experience than a full 1003 when you think about it. Just having to answer everything one by one over and over. It's a lot of cutting and pasting if we're not automating some things. And you can see how it's scrolling through up and down. So on the mobile device, it looks really nice. Everything is big text, big buttons, big drop-down boxes, super easy to scroll through. And the buttons and everything will present themselves to the top automatically, so they're always flowing to the next section. And then once we get the declarations, all the same stuff that you would imagine. We're not defaulting anything here, so the borrower actually has to read them and make their selections. But we've kind of grouped them up. Where a lot of the ones that they say no to, they say no in the same section. A lot of the ones they're going to say yes to or no to, the little smaller ones that we'll try to group those up together as well. So now the type of property we own, what are we doing with it, last two questions. And then this is all the latest HMDA information. So they do have a multi-select option there if they wanted to. Any of these questions, again, when they answer them, sometimes there's follow-up questions. Like if they said they were part of a tribe, it's going to ask them for the tribe name. And of course, we can go back and edit any of those things as well. Done with declarations. And then we go into e-consent. So we're grabbing the e-consent here really as kind of an insurance policy. We know we still have to do it through Encompass, but this allows us to at least get it from the borrower. So we're saying we're doing it during the loan app. So worst case scenario, if you never got it through Encompass, we have this to fall back on. And when that borrower goes to verify themselves who they are through that email, we're basically validating that e-consent there as well. So through the submission here, the final step, we're saying, hey, do you want us to pull credit for you? And now, of course, this is if they skip the credit report section at the very beginning, because we did have that liabilities question asked there up front. But at the very end, we want to know, hey, do you want to be able to, do you want us to be able to pull your credit as soon as we get the loan file? We say, yeah, here, they put in their social, they hit proceed. They can skip it and hit proceed if they wanted to. That's still an option for them. And then right here, we're doing some extra math for them. And not a lot of borrowers are going to know what their exact loan amount is, but they always know what their purchase price is and how much money they're going to put down. From that, we do the math on the other end. And so at this point, what we have actually done is issued a loan number. So this loan number is done. That's in Encompass right now. We're telling the borrower, you're done here. Here's your loan number. Here's your loan officer down here below. And they can basically go to upload documents from here, or they can say later if they wanted to, and it'll go back to the dashboard. So right into the document section, they're able to actually start putting in things based on their employment history, based on their asset history, whatever they typed into the app, they're going to get follow-up items here. So this is all the logic that we've pulled in from that loan application. And like I said, anything that's in there that requires a follow-up item, we've built the logic in place so that they can just react to that quickly. So hoping we're getting information up front as quick as possible. At this point, you already have your email saying the borrower completed their loan app. The loan is in Encompass, but the borrower is now able to start uploading documents. And as they upload documents along the way, you guys are getting notifications on all these conditions. So if they upload, the recent bank statement, get a notification there. And there's also alerts and things in Encompass that we're going to do to help notify you as well. We got one little question here in the chat. Let me answer it real quick. How many credit providers are currently supported? So all of them, all 6 of them, and that's important for you guys. And then we have a lot of options out there. We want to keep you guys, settled on those options. We don't want you having to actually flip around. So all 6 of them are there. If you guys are set up with one of the 6, you're good to go. So right here, and on that last screen, and you'll see it on the dashboard too, but a borrower also has the ability to see any documents that they uploaded. That was a big ask that we heard from the street. A lot of times a borrower uploads something, they say, yeah, I uploaded it. Law says, no, you didn't. And the borrower says, yeah, I did. Or they need to look at something because they're questioning what was uploaded. Borrowers have the ability to see what they uploaded. So whatever they said then, they'll have a section, that document center, there it is. This is their dashboard. Once they're done uploading their stuff or when they log back in, they'll come to this dashboard and they can always see any documents that are there. So in case they needed to talk about it or make sure they sent what they sent, it's there for them. And then they also have the ability to kind of check out everything else that's going on in their dashboard. And guys, we're in a UAT environment, it's a testing environment. So I know you guys are wondering, hey, does it normally take that long? Answer is no. It's actually really, really quick on the borrower's end. But here's the documents that we uploaded so they can go in and kind of preview them. They can download them themselves. So that's a big thing for the borrowers to be able to see. It's that self-service, influence that we're getting there. So back to that dashboard. When we're in here as a borrower, we have the journey on the far left that tells us exactly what's happening on the loan, those big 6 milestones, and the same ones that we cover in Fairway now. They're there on the left, so they can track that along the way. And then their to-do items on the very top, that upload document section, that's where we went in right after the loan app. So that's all those conditions. And they're going to go in there and upload them one by one. They've got their loan summary right there in the middle. And they got their history there too. So if they want to go in and kind of see what they've uploaded, then they'll be able to do that there as well. So that's the document they upload, and they can re-upload things. And real quick note on that, that was some other feedback that we had on Blend, and still today, it's unfortunate, but borrowers cannot upload things into Blend until someone logs into that system from the ops team and tells that borrower, hey, I need you to upload this extra thing. They won't have that issue here. They can upload at any point because there's always a miscellaneous bucket that they can upload to. So outside those conditions, they always have an opportunity to upload anything they want. And then to the right, we've got the loan team. So if the borrower wants to figure out who can I contact if the loan officer is not available, we've got the loan officer up top. But what you're not seeing here just yet, because we haven't assigned it yet, but we can always assign anybody else to this loan team. And that's going to be like your loan officer, assistant, processor, anybody else that you have hooked up to the loan. You can select via a drop-down menu in Encompass. Because remember, all the things that we're doing with Express, we're actually managing in Encompass. So perfect segue. Let's actually go into Encompass and check that out. In Encompass, you're going to have your pipeline, and with a pipeline that you're looking at, we're actually going to give you guys a pipeline view so you can see which loans are in Encompass, which ones are going to have some documents that are en route to you. So if there's any pending documents to download, but we're also going to show you right here, as soon as you select a Express loan, it's going to tell you, hey, we need you to set that template before you do anything else on the loan. And what that is a way for you to make sure that that template is set so that when you go to disclose your loan, all those things are set on that loan. Fees, all the information about the company, obviously, all that stuff is important. And we're still not going to let you disclose without it, but that's just telling you, hey, step 1, go ahead and set that template. And that's what Ron's doing here right now. So I would say that's probably the only change that I would do in my process as a loan officer, because as a loan officer, when I start a loan in Encompass, when I'm in Encompass and I create a new loan file, it's already giving me the prompts to do the loan template. But in this case, when I open up the loan, I just have to remember to do that. So it's kind of a separate step, but that would be the only thing that's really different. If I'm a loan officer pulling in this loan, and I'm going to set that as a separate step when I come into the loan, and then I come into the Express form here, and I'm coming into here to set that contact, like Ron's hovering over right here. That's a way for us to say, hey, borrower, this is my other person you can contact, and it's going to show on that dashboard for them. And it could be anybody in that drop-down menu, and that's just really a redundant contact for them. But up at the top, what we're doing here is we're giving you guys some visibility on what's going on in this loan. So when that borrower first started the loan application and you got that email saying, hey, the borrower is starting their loan application, you could actually open up the loan like we just did here, come into this Express form, and you can see the status that we're looking at right here at the top. If the borrower is in the loan application, it's going to say active. So you know that they're actually in there working it. But let's say you got that email notification early in the day, hours pass by, you can actually come in here to the same loan in Express and see if they're still in it, because they might just be taking a little while, or maybe they took a break. At any point though, if you wanted, you can change the possession of this loan application. Right now it says Fairway because they're done, they submitted this loan, but if they didn't, if they were still in it, it would say borrower. And in this case, if it said borrower and it was active, of course, I want to call the borrower and say, hey, I noticed you're doing your loan application. Did you need help? And they might say, yeah, actually, I'm running into a meeting. Can you fill it out for me? And I can say, yeah. And I'll go in here, change the possession to Fairway. And from that point forward, I have the loan app. The borrower just has the dashboard and they can manage the loan from there. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. It's pretty straightforward. It just gives you guys the ability to take control of the loan app at any point in the process, which is super helpful for you guys that are really just trying to stay on top of it and make sure those loans come in quickly. And then toward the bottom, you have a section to show if there's any new documents that came in. So if there is a new document, that box is going to get checked, and it's going to have a date right there on when it was imported. So that's just a way, it's kind of a visual cue to show you, hey, there's something here, take a look at it in your file manager. All those documents are coming directly into the file manager. And again, on the loan, it just comes directly into Encompass. It's going to be in your prospect loan or your prospect folder. Otherwise, it'll be in your My Pipeline folder if it's triggered. The likelihood of it being triggered, probably not too high unless it's a refinance or unless a borrower is actually under contract. Otherwise, it'll be under your prospect folder. So Ron's showing us how we can just go into the file manager and take a look at the documents the borrower just uploaded. And of course, like any other documents you get in, you can kind of take a look at it, flip it, sort it, do whatever you want before you throw it in front of the underwriter in the E folder here. And there we go. So you can label it and push forward and get things moving along. And of course, anybody can do this. It doesn't have to be you. It could be your processor, anybody. You all have access to the loans there. And then to the bottom, that e-consent section. So we grab that e-consent from the borrower. We know that Ellie Mae is still going to do its own e-consent because Ellie Mae controls the disclosure tracking and the e-consent services right now. In the future and very soon, we will actually have all that on our end. It'll be through DocuTech. But in the meantime, in order to protect you guys, everything that's recorded from that e-consent, we record right here. So this is empirical. This is where the compliance team or anyone else who wants to see what happened with e-consent from Express, they can come here and see it. This stuff does not get overwritten, unlike the Encompass e-consent. We grabbed it from Express, but Encompass, when it goes to do its e-consent job, it'll override it. That's just the way Encompass works. There's no third-party system that could ever trump that. That's just the way it works, unfortunately, unless we are in control of e-consent, which we will be with DocuTech once that gets rolled out. But in the meantime, this is, again, it's a way to protect you. It's a way to show that we did get the e-consent. And that's important in those rare cases where you guys actually failed to send out the e-consent through Encompass. Every e-disclosure package has that. So likelihood of that having an issue is pretty slim, but it does happen. So this is your insurance policy, and this is a place where we actually record that. So that's pretty much, the majority of it in a nutshell. We're looking at the consumer experience. That's what Express is. And then here's where we kind of go in and take care of things as a loan officer. Now, if I've already started a loan in Encompass, let's say my borrower didn't go through the Express loan application at all, but I do want them to be able to have the advantages of going into Express to manage their documents, to see their loan status, and just have that way to see the to-do list, the history, and everything else. I can invite them anytime. So Ron's got his cursor over the button. That button would be opened up. It won't be grayed out if this loan was not connected to somebody on the Express side. So if I started this loan application out on my own, maybe the borrower came by, we did it face-to-face, I would then come into this Express form and click that button. And what that's going to do is send an invitation to that borrower through the email address that we have on this borrower's loan file, because I've already put it in their email address field on the 1003. Once I have that, I click this button, it sends the invite out, borrower goes through, they set their password, now they're connected in, and they have the advantage of going in and using that dashboard going forward. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Pretty simple. I mean, it's really about the borrower's experience. That's what all this is. But we want to make sure you guys have full flexibility to get that application as quick as possible, take possession if you needed to, add additional contact information, obviously staying on top of the documents coming in, having the control there, protecting you on e-consent. That's all part of this as well. And we're going to continue to expand that out based on what you guys are needing. So this form here was entirely driven by feedback, as well as the Express experience that you saw for the consumer. A lot of that had much to do with what we saw from the first iteration of Express. It's been a fun ride, but never a dull moment on this side, as I always say, with managing all that feedback that you guys are sending in. So quick question from Laz, 4 questions actually. What are the costs based on current average loan volume? Good question. So real quick on cost, I know there's going to be a separate conversation on that. So anything that's to do with cost, let's table that one because there's going to be a deep discussion on how these two systems compare. I can tell you, Laz, just from a basic perspective, the cost is really a license cost with Express. So it's just one check that you write there, and then we own the code, we own the whole platform. Once it's fulfilled and implemented, as opposed to a vendor product, which is Cloudvert, I believe, is a per transaction cost. So every loan that you close, there's a fee that you have to pay for that. Second question, since this is a Fairway specific product, can be customized by branch or region. Yeah, that's the fun part, Laz. That's the part I kind of get really excited about because I see what you guys are doing at the ground level. And like, Fairway from the very beginning wants to, we just really want to celebrate what you guys are doing. So whether you're a consumer direct model or you're really focused on the realtors or you just got your own thing, we're going to have a lot of fun with this type of system because it's really scalable to meet the needs at the branch level. Third question, what is our commitment as a company? Not sure we are as ready as a company to change over to the LO, to change the LO experience. What if we wanted to change the LO experience in a year, 2 or 4? What will we lose? So hopefully we've kind of colored the picture on what this means for the LO. So really, this is entirely a consumer product. It's the experience for the borrower, where your experience comes in as a loan officer is coming into Encompass to manage the experience through the Express form here. Maybe you're linking a borrower that you've already put in Encompass. Maybe you're just grabbing some documents, but there really isn't too much from the loan officer perspective. I'll drip one little thing, Laz. We're looking at LO Connect, Ellie Mae's LO Connect. That is a mobile cloud-based solution that allows loan officers to do a lot of the things that they would otherwise do in Encompass real nicely and cleanly through a mobile experience. We're testing it right now, so hopefully we can get you guys some logins here very soon. The cool thing about it too is it's free. And it's part of the Ellie Mae suite. So it's Ellie talking to Ellie. So sometimes with integrations and third-party systems, you get a little funny business every now and then with the way the data translates and the way things move from system to system. Won't have that issue because it's an Ellie Mae product talking to Ellie Mae. So I saw it looks pretty cool. I think that's something that we'll take a look at even further. And who on the call is using this? Anybody who wants to chime in on the chat, feel free to throw your name out there. We've got about 150 users on there that are already using it, Laz, and they're out there just piloting it with their branch teams and their consumers, getting a lot of feedback there. So we continue to adjust every day. What are the future roadmap features for this product? So perfect segue. Let's see, Ron, let me go and take it from you, and then I'll go through these last bullets here and keep the questions flowing. All right, so roadmap. All right, see my screen okay on your end?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, currently in development. So managing the loan conditions, that's kind of important. We talked about those conditions right now that we're seeing. They're all driven by the logic from the loan application. So to take it a step further, what we want to do is give you guys the ability to add and remove conditions using the preliminary conditions tab in Encompass. So keeping true to the idea of not having multiple systems to work out of, your loan officers, your processors, LOAs, everybody's in Encompass managing that loan. So might as well go ahead and use that preliminary conditions tab and let that do all the talking. So that's the next thing. We're working on these things right now, hoping to deliver by the end of the year. Co-applicant login is another one. So the borrower gets the login and they kind of share it with that co-borrower right now if they want to go in that dashboard later on. We want to give everyone their own logins for obvious reasons there. And then the closing and wire information, having that present on the dashboard. This is going to give the borrowers the ability to see the settlement agent and the wire details. We're also going to put some cautionary information in there. Tom can appreciate this. Tom Dixon, I know we sometimes have those cases of wire fraud out there. Borrowers are getting some emails from people that are saying some bad things, getting them to send information in the wrong places, sending money to the wrong places rather. So we're going to have all that prominent on the dashboard so they can see, hey, these are the wiring instructions. Here's some cautionary advice just in case you get an email. We're also going to have the ability for a borrower to schedule their closing and actually see the map of where the settlement office is. So really nice, clean presentation at the bottom right corner where they'll have all that title and settlement stuff, including their estimated closing date. And then they'll have some UX improvements along the way. This is something we're doing every other week. And then loan disclosures, that's a big part of this. So in order to get off that Ellie Mae Loan Center, that web center experience that we have today, if we get loan disclosures out there, then we can bury that. So that's really the last thing that we're going to do that's going to help us get rid of that Ellie Mae online experience. And that way our borrowers have just one login, one experience from that day going forward. That's using DocuTech, by the way. So that's a big project that's underway right now. Next, so January, February, March, as we go on into the next year, the loan officer will be able to co-pilot the application. So granted, today you guys can see that data coming over into Encompass, and you can take ownership of that loan in Encompass. But every now and then you're going to have that borrower that still wants to do it on their end, but you just want to have eyes on it so you can see what they're doing and kind of work it with them side by side. So you'll have that soon. And then the ability for a borrower to do the rate and product pricing search using the Optimal Loo integration. That's an optional workflow for those branches out there that want that. So, Laz, speaking to your needs, at the branch level, there's going to be some requests out there to do some of these things, and this would be one of them, especially for those consumer direct branches that are out there. And then the ability to do the appraisal payment option. Once we get the borrower's intent to proceed, we'll have that option in there so the borrower could make a payment if they wanted to through the dashboard. And then autofill application. This one's pretty exciting. So imagine your borrower having a unique workflow, and these are all options, right? We're just leveraging the technology to make it possible for you guys. But if a borrower wanted to, and if you wanted to give this to them, they could have the option to enter in some basic information about who they are, name, social, birthday, that kind of stuff. And using public information, it's going to pull in a lot of that data into the loan app for them. And it's even going to have follow-up questions just to make sure they are who they are, but to also address maybe some concerns that it saw through that public data, like things on their liens or maybe something that came up, bankruptcy, something like that. It's basically going to take all that data, pre-populate the application, and then have follow-up questions to really pack in all that information and send it over to you guys, all that complete data and all those questions answered that you would likely ask as part of getting that information up front. So this, we think, will save that borrower a lot more time filling out the loan application, but it also might give that borrower a better experience, especially for the ones that are looking for that self-serve style experience. Express close integration. So we are getting further along with the whole eClose platform. So this will be a perfect tie-in to Express, where the borrower could actually go through their to-do list, fulfilling all those conditions that we saw earlier in the dashboard. But imagine one of the other one is the e-closing adventure, where they go through and they actually step through that process all in the same experience. And again, we don't want multiple logins, multiple sites. If we can give them all one experience, then we are in the right place. New URLA support. So there's going to be a new loan application coming out. We want to be able to support that. So that's part of it for the next quarter. And then video integration. We know this is getting bigger and bigger every day. So some of you guys are using BombBomb already. If you wanted to, eventually you'll be able to do a nice video integration that can be embedded for the landing page or in the dashboard. There's been talk about doing some video for each of the steps of the loan process. So, maybe a personalized video for that loan that goes into underwriting. If you wanted to say something and have that posted in there, you could do that. Maybe some other things like resources, guidance that you want to give your borrowers just in the form of video. That'll be a part of the next quarter or the next 2 quarters as well. So these are all Q1 and Q2. So they're all going to kind of happen in the first part of next year. And then the pre-approval letter self-service option. I know this has been a hot topic. Definitely one that we'll be getting compliance's thumbs up on. Hopefully, once we get through it, there's definitely going to be some things that we have to control there. But we think there's a way to do it where a borrower could basically issue a pre-approval letter based on some rules and some values that you guys set. So you set the threshold as loan officers. Borrowers can come in here and create those letters as they go to see those various properties and put offers on them. So that's going to be exciting as well. This is the stuff that I love looking here on the backside. So key performance indicators. Using Google Analytics, we can check out what our borrowers are doing through Express as they navigate through their experience. So they can see what the duration is. Like right here, we can see that the average duration right now is about under 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 30 seconds. How many sessions, bounce rates, active users. It's all real time. And then we can see by device how many are on desktop. Got about almost 60% on desktop, and then mobile, including tablet, it's about 40%, give or take. So we're kind of where we thought we were. We're almost half the borrowers out there are using mobile devices, which is hugely important. So Express is mobile agnostic, like we said earlier. And then new and returning visitors. So we're getting about 78% new, meaning people are just coming to the app first time, creating a loan application. And then the returning visitors are coming back, logging into the dashboard or checking things out for whatever other reasons. So we're going to continue to watch this and make adjustments along the way, keep you guys involved, obviously. We want to make sure that we're addressing all the gaps or any opportunities where we can improve and learn about a little bit about what our experience is out there. Sometimes it's hard to get what the borrowers are doing. we've kind of seen this in testing, and we've been partnering with the branches, which any of you guys on the call, really do appreciate you guys working with us. We know it's a pilot effort, and with that, sometimes we have a little bumps along the way. So anything that we can get from our borrowers when it comes to feedback is huge. On the other side, we're able to kind of see it in the form of metrics and live metrics too, so we can kind of adjust to that each day, every day. So questions. I've been rambling long enough, so let's go. Laz, didn't know if you had any more questions. Let's see, Tom's got one. What about LA Consumer Connect overlap with Simple Nexus? So Consumer Connect, we looked at that. It's been a little bit, but when we first looked at it, it wasn't very scalable to meet the needs of the street. It was kind of a one-size-fits-all thing, and that's something that just seems to be kind of a sticking point right now. We always want flexibility. I say we, really, you guys are wanting flexibility. So we'll keep taking a look at it. It's definitely something that LA continues to work on. But in the meantime, we see that there's a lot more flexibility with some of the other vendor products that are out there. Let's see, Ben, yep, you've been testing it. Ben, thanks for hanging with us. Actually, I'll just go and throw this out there too. So Ben's got a market where borrowers, they go through the loan app, and either it's the experience, it's just not, what they had in mind, or maybe they had some questions along the way, whatever it is, sometimes they get stuck a little. And so for his market, we felt, well, let's just make it so that there's not a lot of required fields. Maybe we just need to get the borrower's name, phone number, email, and kind of work with those borrowers a little bit closer, because in some areas, maybe they're just not as technically savvy, or, they don't have the patience or the time. It could be a number of reasons, but regardless of the reasons, it doesn't matter. We just need to make sure that whatever's going on out there, that we're adjusting to it. So we put together a very short application for Ben's group, and it just has the minimum required information: borrower name, email, phone number. That's the kind of stuff that we can do with a solution that is totally driven by Fairway. So Ben, hopefully that one's working out for you. That's the kind of stuff that helps us adjust every day, though. So appreciate you working with us and being patient on things like that, because we do have to go back to the development team to make those things happen. But the flexibility, the opportunity to do it is there. So people are slow in Alabama. All right, Ben, you said it, not me. All right, lads, we wanted at some point to charge a borrower for a credit report, could we? So that's probably a question I would defer to Ron. So Ron, on that subject, go and chime in for us. I know you're a little bit more well-versed on the compliance stuff. So we are doing the credit report in Express, and we are charging the credit report to the branches because we're pulling it in Express. Is there any way that you think we could pull that into we could allow the borrower to pay for that as part of pulling their credit at that point of the process?
That would be a question for compliance in terms of the timing on it, but to facilitate the payment as we're moving forward with accepting appraisal payments, that would be something that we could incorporate into that. Just a matter of determining the timing which we can actually charge that.
Gotcha. So I say this a lot, but with technology, a lot of things and almost anything is possible. So we'd have to look at that, see if that's something that we could put in on the front side, or at least that part of the loan application experience. What else? We've got a full group here, so this is the time to ask. We're working every day on this stuff. It's a huge priority in IT. We just did a release last week. We like to think that that's helped address a few things, but there could be some things that you guys just noticed. So if you have any initial feedback on what you just saw, anything on big picture stuff, anything on how this is going to affect you maybe over the next quarter or second quarter. We know that a lot of people are kind of tapping their feet out there like, okay, by when? And we are too. For us, we felt getting the conditions out there so that you guys could manage them through the preliminary conditions tab was really a next step to rolling on some additional users. So if there are people on this call that are looking to get another demo, maybe something a little bit more, in detail, and maybe for your team, and talk about what that means for your team if it fits, and if you guys want to be a part of the pilot, we can entertain that. But we do think that once we get the ability to manage those conditions using the preliminary conditions tab, which we hope will be in the next 30, 45 days, that we'll be in a better place to actually roll on some more users. So just keep that in mind. A couple questions. How big is the development team in IT working on this project? Ron, how many people we got on this so far from what you're seeing? Because I know we've got some people internal and we've got some for hire.
I think we're around 6 or 7 right now on the project team itself. and then looping in others as necessary.
Gotcha. So if 10 is, if if 10 is we are ready to roll company-wide, where are we right now? So I'll quote Austin Lahr on this. He says we're at about 90%. I think Ben Chanel, I think you said something near that. So we're probably 9, maybe 8 for being conservative. And if we get preliminary conditions up and running so that you guys can run that and let it talk to the dashboard, I think we're at a 9.5. But that's just my point of view. I would defer to the pilot users. So Ben, if you want to chime in here, or Austin, if you're on, or any other pilot users, throw out a score. You're not gonna hurt any feelings, and this is all for you guys. So if we're not close, we're gonna do what we can to adjust and get us there. Every day is game day, like Steve says. How do you sign up for the pilot? So just email the team, express@fairwaymc.com, and we will get you set up. I'll just put it on this last screen here. So we've got some more stuff on the tech side. If you go to tech.fairwaymc.com, log in there, and then go to the future technology section, and you'll see the Express tab there where you can go in and kind of see what's going on with the roadmap. And there's a little video demo too. It's a little older, but it kind of gives you an idea of where we're at. And Express email, that's the support team there. So if you got any questions, you want to get signed up, we'll send you all the deets. Just email us at that email address. All right, and Trista said we could collect it. We could collect the credit charge as long as it is only the actual credit charge. So whatever you guys are charging for the credit report, whatever the vendor's charging us, that's what we have to charge you, if I understand you correctly, Trista. All right. What else, guys? Any other questions? I'll put one out there that I know someone's probably thinking of. How does this fit into Fairway Now? So we actually just had a project calling out the other day. We're looking at building this in so that when a borrower clicks Apply Now in Fairway Now, it takes them directly to the loan application. It doesn't ask them to sign up. It doesn't ask them to create an account, set a password, none of that. It'll just drop them directly into the loan app so the borrower could do the loan application, send it off, and once they're done, they will go into the needs list in Fairway Now that will be controlled simultaneously in both systems. That preliminary conditions tab will also control the Fairway Now conditions as it does Express. So both systems will be mirrored in that sense when it comes to the conditions, which is important because the Fairway Now app allows borrowers to use that camera as a scanner, which is super cool. Don't want to give that up. So we'll have that in there eventually. So we just kicked off those discussions, but I imagine we'll have something in testing hopefully early next year. So we'll just kind of keep that in our back pocket and see how this all materializes. So it's definitely a big part of the project as well. And keep in mind, when you guys saw the experience just now, that was the full loan app. You're going to have an option. It's out there today. So when you guys get set up for the pilot, you have the loan application. That's the full loan app. It does all the verifications of options to the borrower, but you'll also have the short application. So if you want that real strong lead, that really short application, which worked great for Ben's team, where it just has the name, address, phone number, name, email, phone number. Those are the minimum required fields, meaning they can skip everything else and it'll still come over. They won't get stuck along the way. But that short app doesn't do any verifications. It just does all the basic stuff that you would need. Kind of like the Fairway Now app, actually. It's just a very short and sweet loan application where you get just enough information to pull credit on that borrower. So you have that there as well. So you can put 2 links on your site, one full loan application, one short, quick application, whatever you want to call it. Hey, Ben, I'm going to unmute you real quick, man. Let me find you on here. There you are. Can you hear me, Ben?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
No, you mentioned it. For us, we wanted the option. Depending on the time that the client had, it was just kind of important to us to be able to say, hey, you can go here. There's 2 options. Option 1, 5 to 7 minutes for the info you'll know off the top of your head. And it's basic stuff, addresses, employment, things like that. Or if you got time, you can go do the full app, and hopefully that'll save some time in the long run. And for me, that was important. It was also important that, especially on the Quick app, that we didn't lock down any fields. You know, people get confused. The problems that I saw with people dropping out is because they didn't know how to answer a simple question. And a good example is employment. You know, people would stop at it because, you know, they're in transition. Well, do I list my current employer? Do I list my future employer? I don't have my contract signed yet, so they'd freeze. Or present address. You know, I'm currently living, you know, at my parents' house. Do I list that, or do I list the apartment I had 6 months ago? And they'd stop. I think without any hard stops, you know, we'll see. You know, that'll help the client experience a lot. But that was just my experience of it. Like I said, people in Alabama are slow, and we're still using dial-up down here.
Yeah, I think we got a few markets like that, and that's the kind of feedback that helps us adjust. Again, Ben, I really do appreciate that, because we're able to put that change in for you guys and get that rolled out. Some of these things do take time, but nevertheless, we have the flexibility, and that's huge when it comes to really adjusting to the street's needs along the way. And I should clarify, the long app is the bare minimum. You guys will always have that long app. That's definitely required. You know, we can't have an app out there that has no RESPA fields. Trista would kick my butt, so we can't do that. You'll always have the long app, but as an option, you do have the short app, and that short app, like Ben described, allows you to at least direct your borrowers. You know, if you talk to them, you say, hey, well, if you don't have the time, or if you're just really wanting to get a quick foot in the door, you know, click this other option on my website, and maybe you call that one quick app, quick application, whatever you want to describe it as. You know, whoever your web developer is, you kind of link that up. So you'll always have the Express full loan application that we just saw, but you'll have an extra loan app there too, as another option for those borrowers that, you know, may need that option. All right. Any other questions, gang? Hope that covers it. It's definitely a big topic. So if you guys have any questions after the call, feel free to hit us up. We've got this email right here, express@fairwaymc.com. That is the family. And, you know, a lot of people behind the scenes have walked the walks. We totally get the battle that you guys have out there. And every day we're just really trying to make sure that what we're doing is adding value, and above all, you know, giving you guys a great experience. So, all right, guys. Well, yeah, you bet. Appreciate all the time. I know you guys are all busy, so hope you guys have a great rest of the week and a great Thanksgiving with the family, and we will talk to y'all soon. Thanks, everyone.